A question from a South African past paper, grade 11, the November 2017 paper. I'm going to be doing question number 9. Alright, a survey was done among 80 learners on their favorite sport. So we have 80 learners. The results are shown below. 52 like rugby, 42 like volleyball, 5 like chess only, 14 learners like rugby and volleyball but not chess, 12 like rugby and chess but not volleyball, 15 like volleyball and chess but not rugby, X learners like all 3 types of sport, and 3 learners did not like any sport. Alright, so we're going to start the same way as we started previously with our rectangle. And this rectangle represents our sample space, and this sample space has 80 learners in it. Alright, so we do have an intersection, which means that we're going to have 3 circles that are in fact going to overlap, and all 3 circles are going to overlap because there are people that like all 3 sports. Alright, so as normal, we're going to start in the intersection, but now this intersection is a 3-way intersection because there are 3 different types of sports. So we have rugby, we have volleyball, and we have chess. So we start with who likes all 3 types of sport. We always start in the intersection, in the overlay, and that's an X number of learners. Alright, then we can also just put in our 3 learners that did not like any sport, so that 3 could be anywhere in the sample space. Alright, 52 learners like rugby. So I'm going to tick them off as we go. So 52 liking rugby means that 52 are going to be in the whole rugby circle. So that whole rugby circle in total will be 52. 42 like volleyball. So there will be 42 in the volleyball circle. Now the next one says 5 like chess only. Now for them to like chess only means that they don't like any other sport, and if they were here then they would like rugby and volleyball, here rugby and volleyball, which means that for them to like chess only, it's not going to be the total number of the circle, it's going to be the number of chess only, which goes there. Then it says 14 learners like rugby and volleyball but not chess. So now if I were doing rugby and volleyball, okay, so if I look at rugby and volleyball, do you agree, would be the intersection here between the rugby circle and the volleyball circle. So that would be the intersection of rugby and volleyball. But now it says that they like rugby and volleyball but not chess, which means that it can't include this chess part. So rugby and volleyball but not chess would just be this little part of the circle, of the intersection, and that's 14. So 14 people like rugby and volleyball, but not chess. 12 learners like rugby and chess, but not volleyball. So rugby and chess, but not volleyball. So rugby and chess, the intersection of rugby and chess, the intersection of the 2 circles of rugby and chess is that whole section over there, but that includes a little bit of volleyball. So that means that rugby and chess and no volleyball will be this part of the intersection here, and that's 12. Then the same thing again, 15 learners like volleyball and chess, but not rugby. So it will be volleyball and chess without the part that has rugby attached to it. So that is 15 learners, so that goes there. Alright, so now we filled in all of our information that we were given, but you can see that our Venn diagram is not complete. Alright, so now in order to complete our Venn diagram, we would be able to, if we had this total number of people or learners that their favorite sport was chess, if we had this value, we would then be able to work with this circle in order to calculate x. But we don't have that value, so we can't work with that circle at the moment. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, if I look at my circle here, my rugby circle, I know that that full circle needs to total 52. So far I have the 14 and I have the 12, but I need the whole thing to total 52 and I don't know what x is. So that means that this circle will be equal to the 52 that like rugby minus the 14 that are already in the circle, minus the 12 that are already in the circle, minus the x, which I don't know what x is. So if I said 52 minus 14 minus 12, I get 26. So there are 26 people that like rugby minus whatever x is. So whatever x works out to be, I'll minus it from the 26. So this circle, so now this was just a calculation, so I can take that out. So now I have in that circle the part that's remaining, 26 minus x. Which means that for the volleyball circle, I would be able to do exactly the same thing. So I would be able to say 42 people like volleyball minus the 14 people that are already in the circle minus the 15 people that are already in the circle minus the x as well. So 42 minus 14 minus 15 is 13 minus whatever x comes to. Then I could ignore that calculation. All right, now my Venn diagram is complete, but the question says show that x equals 8. So in order to calculate what x is equal to, I would know that the sample space has to total 80. So I would be able to say, go right around my Venn diagram. So I would start with the 3 in the sample space. So 3 plus the 26 minus x, plus the 14, plus the x, plus 12, plus 5, now I'm going backwards, plus the 15, plus the 13 minus the x, which is equal to 80. Alright, so now I have a minus x and a plus x, so those are going to cancel, but then I'll still be left with a negative x. Then when I add 3, 26, 14, 12, plus 5, plus 15, plus 13, I get 88 is equal to 80. So that means that I have negative x, if I take the 88 across, equal to minus 8. So therefore x is in fact equal to 8. All right, how many learners like only rugby? Okay, so how many learners? How many is a number again? So 9.3, the number of learners who like rugby only will be the part that's only, so it's this part here, nothing to do with the intersection, nothing to do with volleyball or chess, which is 26 minus x, x is 8, so therefore 18 learners like rugby only. Then the last question says, calculate the probability that a learner chosen at random likes at least 2 different types of sport. So at least 2 different types of sport would be these 14, because those 14 like rugby and volleyball, that's 2 sports. It will be the X, because they like all 3. It will be the 12, because they like rugby and chess. And it will also be the 15, because they like volleyball and chess. So the probability of at least 2 would be equal to the 14 plus the x, let me just do it like this so that you can see it, plus the x, which is 8, plus the 12, plus the 15, and its probability, so it would be over the total sample space, which in this case is 80. So the probability of at least 2 comes to 49 out of 80. This was more of a complicated one. I don't think that it gets much more difficult than this. So if you can manage with this question, you're good with Venn diagrams.